Welcome students to our online teaching and learning at Shet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College. Students, you all must be having a lot of friends. And when it comes to true friendship, you might have a mindset of something like this. Like you must have heard the saying that good friends are hard to find, harder to live, and impossible to forget. I believe this truth is believed by each and everyone. Now, who is a good friend or what are the qualities of a good friend? Let's see that first. So, the qualities of a good friend can be the friend can be humorous, being honest, very important, being kind, being friendly, being helpful, being patient, being responsible, and being loyal. It's very important for a true friend or a good friend to have all these qualities. So, students, with this, it's clear that if a friend has all these qualities, it means they are your true friends. So, students, today's topic is also very much connected to true friendship, which we shall understand through the lesson The Last Leaf by O. Henry, Standard 8, Lesson 3.3. As we move ahead, let's take a quick knowledge about the author O. Henry. Now, O. Henry's name was actually William Sidney Porter, born on September 11, 1862 and died on June 5, 1910, better known by his pen name O. Henry. He was an American short story writer. His stories are known for their surprise endings. Henry was very known to be a very suspense kind of stories he used to make or movies he used to make. So O. Henry's stories were considerably more playful and are also known for their witty narration. Witty is funny or a little humorous narration. Most of O. Henry's stories are set in his own time, that is the early 20th century when he was born in those years. Many take place in New York City and deal for the most part with ordinary people. The stories which would relate were mostly on the ordinary people, the policeman, the waitress, and etc. The common people would be subject on which he used to make stories. Either they were humorous or they were very adventurous or full of happy ending. Moving ahead, now let's understand the summary of the lesson which we will be doing in our today's video. The Last Leaf by O. Henry, published in 1907. Sue and Johnsy are artists and roommates in Greenwich Village in New York. One November, Johnsy develops pneumonia. Johnsy, who is very ill, becomes firm on counting the leaves falling from a vine near her window. When the last leaf falls, she says she will die. Johnsy watches and waits, but the last leaf does not fall, and her health begins to improve. Sue and Johnsy's neighbor, a painter named Berman, an artist, contracts severe pneumonia himself after going out in a storm and to paint the last leaf on the wall for Johnsy, and he dies. So here's a quick summary of the lesson The Last Leaf, where it's a wonderful message the story wants to give us, which we will understand when we read the highlights of the story. So here, before we begin, we shall see a few characters involved in the story. They are Sue, Johnsy, the two best friends, Mr. Bowman, their neighbor who stayed on the ground floor, and the doctor who was treating the sickness of pneumonia. Now, if we talk about pneumonia, what kind of disease is pneumonia? Pneumonia is a disease of the lungs, where the lungs get contracted and you get a lot of cold, and the lungs are severely damaged. And in the olden days, there wasn't any treatment for the disease of pneumonia. So here we are going to highlight a few points from the lesson which will help us to understand better. Firstly, we see Sue and Johnsy, the two young artists. Sue and Johnsy were two young artists. They had come to New York from different parts of the United States. When they met, they found that they shared the same interest and they became friends. They shared a flat and set up a joint studio trying to earn a living through art. Now, here are two friends who wanted to have a same goal and they met up each other and they thought of they had a common goal, so they thought about taking a studio, a small place where they could show their talent and work over there living as an artist. So Then what happens is we come to know is Johnsy is caught up by pneumonia. Johnsy was small, thin, and not very strong. If you see Johnsy on the bed in the picture, she was a very miserable girl. After spending a few months in New York, she fell ill with pneumonia. Since the two were not from United States, they were from other place. They could not suit with the climate of the country where they fell sick, where Johnsy fell sick. In those days, it was not easy to cure pneumonia patients. Though Sue looked after her well, Johnsy showed no signs of improvement. After taking a lot of care, also, there was no improvement in the health of Johnsy. The doctor told Sue that Johnsy had one chance in 10. Out of 10 chances, she had only one chance where she could survive of the pneumonia. And that chance is for her want to live. It is her want to live. If she wants to live, only then she can cover up with this disease. He said, Johnsy has made up her mind and that she is not going to get well. He told Sue that medicines alone did not help if the patient did not wish to live. The doctor was very clear in his words. He said the patient has lost the hopes of living, and it's only possible when the patient gets tries to build up some hopes of survival. Only then the patient can cure, because the cure is only on the patient's thinking capacity or the capability. The thinking what Johnsy used to do was all negative, where she felt she is going to die. Moving ahead, what we see is Johnson's strange fancy. Now, what is Johnson's strange fancy? That is this strange mystery what she wanted to always understand or go through it or follow it. Johnsy looked at an ivy creeper outside on the wall. It was shedding. Shedding means it was leaving its leaves. Because it was autumn. Autumn is the season when everything turns yellow, and the yellow things everywhere you've seen yellow because the leaves have dried and the new ones are about to arrive. Johnsy was counting them each day. Sue asked what was all about. So Johnsy told her that she would die with the falling of the last leaf. Like in the second picture you can see, the last leaf is on the ivy creeper. It would happen in just 3 days. To the early picture you can see there are hardly any leaves, and she says that within just 3 days I shall die along when the last leaf should fall. She told her that she would be alright soon. Though Sue tried to tell her that you will be alright soon, but Johnsy did not bother to hear or understand what Sue wanted to explain. But she had no effect on Johnsy. What happened next was, finally Sue tried to comfort Johnsy. She tried a lot to comfort her. She tried to make her feel comfortable. So Sue felt Johnsy spoke insensibly, without thinking what was good for her. She assured Johnsy that she would get well soon and there is improvement in her health. She offered her some broth. Broth is a hot soup. Since Sue had to complete her painting, and so she requests Johnsy to close her eyes and sleep. Now, since they were staying in a small studio apartment, it was just a room where everything could be done in just one room. And this was the place where Johnsy had to take some rest. But the painting which Sue had to make also was very important because they had to earn their livelihood by selling those paintings. So Sue tried to comfort her and gave her some broth, but still Johnsy was very distracted. So let's see what happened next. Sue met Berman. Now Berman is an old man who was a painter who lived on the ground floor, but he was a failure in art. For 40 years he had wielded the brush. Wielded the brush is painted with a flourish. With a lot of enthusiasm he wielded the brush, but it was of no use, but had made no money. He had been always about to paint a masterpiece. He always had to pay a masterpiece, that is a signature painting which he would always love and admire for, but had never yet begun for it. For several years he had only made a few paintings. He earned a little by serving as a model to the young artists in the colony who could not afford other models. When the trainers who want to learn painting, they want some models, and old Berman is to be a model for them for their paintings. So he always talked of his upcoming masterpiece. Sue told Berman about Johnson's strange fancy. Now Sue wanted to take some help because the doctor said if she is wanting to live, only then she can survive Otherwise, there are no possibility that she can survive. So Sue wanted to talk about this to someone, and so she thought of explaining this all to the neighbor who stays on the ground floor, that is old Berman. Now let's see what happens. Sue told Berman about Johnsy. So when she told Berman about the Johnsies, so Sue went to Johnsy's room. When Johnsy was sleeping, they saw that the ivy creeper had one leaf left on it. It was raining. It seemed that the last leaf would fall any time. Since it was raining and it was autumn, the leaves had to shed anyhow. There wasn't any logic of the last leaf falling and the person dying. So they realized that the last leaf is about to fall. They looked at each other for a moment without speaking and then began their work. They understood the last leaf is about to fall, so without wasting their time, they began their work. Outside, the cold rain was falling continuously with snowfall. Sue closed the window. So just the talk they were having was that Stu closed the window because it was too much raining and snowfall, and Bowman left that place to start his work for it. The remaining part of the lesson we shall see in our next video. Thank you.